Hello, I'm Jack Parks. Name of my channel is Flamin' Groove Listens, and I'm doing a contest entry, whatever, for the Vinyl Martini. His name's Jack too. He's in the same time zone, so he must be a great guy. Uh, he's on a push to however many subs, 600. He's got probably more than that. And if anybody wins, he's going to donate 100 Canadian dollars to a charity of my choice. So I'm going to start off with the charity of my choice because they just released a brand new record. Uh, Music Makers Foundation out of North Carolina. They just released this record, Song Keepers, which is the vinyl edition of what is in reality a box set book, beautiful book with 4 CDs, 85 songs, Song Keepers, musicmaker.org. You can also subscribe to these folks on Bandcamp if you listen to digital music. And who doesn't listen to digital music in some manner or another? His other, he wanted us to talk about two other channels that we like. And I got one I like, Wild Hog Heaven or something like that. And Chris from the, he talks about jazz all the time. He's got a cute little daughter. But those are a couple of the many, many channels I watch. Final Martini, of course, I watch him. But he wanted us to go through our record collection of a band that maybe not everybody shows all their records, maybe not. I'm going to go with a band that I first saw in October of 1969. A couple of weeks after I dropped out of college in October of 1969, I went into a record store and they had this record. This is a little 10-inch record. Sneakers. The Flamin' Groovies was playing. And of course, the reason it was playing is this record had just come out. Flamin' Groovies Super Snaz. The first record was on the Snaz label. This record is on the Epic label. My understanding is they took maybe a little too much money to make this record. I don't know, but it's the only record on the Epic label. And both of those records were available to me in October of 1969 to purchase at a record store in Omaha where I moved back home right after dropping out of school. January 1970, so recent, right thereafter, because not only did I buy two records, I had a ticket to a show, and I was knocked out. These guys were just, they were what I was looking for at the time. Those two records come out. I moved to the Bay Area. I live in the East Bay. Right now I live in San Pablo. I've lived here 42, 43 years. But 1970, I lived in Berkeley. And these records came out. First up, Flamingo came out in 1970. Got a nice back cover here. Tim, Danny, Cyril, Roy, and George. This is the original Flamin' Groovies band that I saw in October 1969. I moved to California in January of 70, and they were still around playing. This record came out. And then 72, this record came out, Teenage Head, another fantastic record. This version of the band broke up shortly after this record was made. They never really toured this record much, this version of the band. And the record company, they came out with a compilation called Still Shakin'. Now, this compilation, which came out in, I'm going to have to put my readers back on to give you dates, but I can do that. This came out in 76. By that time, this version of the band didn't exist. And the first side is a compilation of their other two records on Buddha, Kama Sutra, whatever you want to call it. And then side 2 of this was recorded live in Studio A, 13th of January, 1971. And it's just shaking all over. That'll Be the Day, Louie, Louie, My Girl Josephine, Around and Around, Rockin' Pneumonia and the Boogie Woogie Flu, and 30 Seconds of the Going Out theme. This is a really good record. If you see it, it's not it's an official release. Then next two records I got by the Flamin' Groovies are basically the same record. This one here came out in 1983 called A Bucket Full of Brains on the Vox record label. There's a note here, it's nearly an hour of music on this album. In order to include the entire concert, we had to reduce the overall volume level. For best results, crank it up. Well, and as it said here, this is the same basic record. These were a radio broadcast from July of 1971 when the Fillmore West closed. I actually stayed at home and recorded this on the old tape recorder back in the July of 71, but I had a pretty crummy reel-to-reel tape recorder back then, and I don't have any of those tapes left anymore. But it was a good show. The closing of the Fillmore West. So now the Flamin' Groove. So Roy, for that last show, actually Tim had been arrested for draft evasion or something, is what the album says. I don't know. And Roy quit the band because the album says he was arrested for draft evasion. I heard he got fired for too much cocaine. I don't know what happened. But Tim was gone. Roy played the show at the Fillmore, and that was July of 71, and that was basically the end of Roy in the band. The band continued at some time on the Bomp label. They released this single, which was Him or Me, and which is a cover, and You Tore Me Down, which is a Jordan Wilson composition. Now, most of the compositions on the records I've already showed, the ones they wrote were Jordan Loney, or just Loney, because Roy was the songwriter. So, after there was a time when they went to England, they hung out with Dave Edmunds. These things came out on the Skydog label. This is a little 4-song EP with Let Me Rock, Dog Meat, Sweet Rock and Roller, Slow Death. Slow Death was introduced as their next single on their last show before Roy quit. So I don't think Roy's on this one. And here's another Skydogs single, Jumpin' Jack Flash and Blues from Philly. This is a United Artists single, but this is the United Artists EP that's got the same two songs, plus it's got Slow Death, Tallahassee Lassie, Married Woman, Get a Shot of Rhythm and Blues. So this is the Chris Wilson era, kind of the beginning of the Chris Wilson era. That came and went. They produced some records for Sire. But first, we've got I believe this was a Record Store Day 10-inch. And it's got Shake Some Action, Tallahassee Lassie, Married Woman, Get a Shot of Rhythm and Blues, Slow Death, You Tore Me Down, Little Queenie, and Shake Some Action. This actually sounds better than the singles, I think, but it's basically the singles, or some of them. Then they got Shake Some Action. Now, this was I think it's 1975, produced by Dave Edmunds at Rockfield. This is a British Sire phonogram release. It came out in Britain many months before it came out in the U.S. What do they have? They got their little dates on it. Well, that's a pat number. No date on the. But Shake Some Action, kind of returned to form. Danny Mims no longer in the band. They got Roy Loney's no longer in the band. They don't actually tell you who's in the band. They just got their pictures here. That's Cyril. But the band has changed. No question about it. And they're on Sire. And then after that record, they hired Mike Wilhelm. So this one has got David Wright drums. George is still on bass. Mike Wilhelm is still on lead guitar now. Chris Wilson is still on the main vocals, and Cyril Jordan. This is a mix of originals and covers, and it's pretty good little record. Flamin' Groovies now. There is a 4-man with beard reissue of this that is not as good sounding as this one, but it's not terrible. It's not a tremendously well recorded record. And then their last official Sire record is Jumpin' in the Night. Let's see, this came out in 1979, and it's still got George and Chris and Mike and Cyril and David Wright. So it's the same band for about 3 or 4 years. And then who knows what happened. Well, the 80s, Flamin' so I've got lots of CDs here, but I'm only going to show you the CDs where I don't have the records. And coming up here, we got some oddball records. So here is a 1992 issue called Step Up. I'm not sure if they even give you the band names here. But all of these songs are listed as written by Jordan, so Wilson must not be in the band. Doesn't really say who's in the band. Typical. Rock. And this one, actually, I think this one came out. Yeah, this one came out earlier. I got them backwards in there. Typical. Got them backwards. Uh, this one's got Cyril Jordan, Jack Johnson, Bobby Ronco, George Alexander, and Paul Zahl. And this is the first brand new Flamin' Groovies record. It was only released in, I believe, Australia. Distronics, AIM. I think that's an Australian company. And now these, I've never seen these on vinyl. That doesn't mean they never came out on vinyl. But so this is Step Up. And Step Up, which is Australian, and Rock Juice, which is American, have about a half a dozen of the same tracks on them. But then they got other different tracks. So, and some more weird stuff. So this is Flamin' Groovy's One Night Stand. This was recorded July 28th, 1986. And basically, it was recorded by AIM Records in Australia. They went in and they just basically played their set in the studio in front of an invited crowd. So there's a little bit of crowd noise, not much. But it's just, it's got kicks, Bittersweet, I Can't Hide, Money, Call Me Lightning, Shake Some Action, Slow Death, Teenage Head, Slow Down, Tallahassee Lassie. Running their regular set. Another CD only release. Another AIM Records from Australia is the Flamin' Groovies live at the Festival of the Sun, Barcelona, Spain. And once again, it may be one of their better live albums, but this has got the I call it the Yanks version, because two or three of the guys that joined the Flamin' Groovies were from a band called the Yanks. Although Jordan and Cyril Jordan is the only steady player, has always been in the band. And George Alexander was in the band until like 2016, 2017. So he was mostly in the band. So there's now there are a bunch of bootlegs that I own that absolutely the best. It's got a bunch of live cuts that nobody else had. This is from 1999, a Fuel 2000 record. Bunch of these I got on vinyl, so I'm not going to show you. Sundays put out Super Sneakers. Now, this one has got This one has got basically the original sneakers, the original 10-inch LP, and then it's got bonus tracks recorded live at the Matrix in San Francisco in 1968. So it's really good actually. This one um, is a 1995 Norton record reissue. Don't think it was ever on vinyl. 23 revved up teenage blasts from the vaults, and it's got stuff that's not on anything else, and everything on this is pretty good. And another one that God knows when this came out, but it's called Groove In. Groove In, and it's a limited marketing French. They were real popular in France. Looks like it's got Chris Wilson there singing. And it's another 16. Yeah, a lot of these bootlegs have the same songs, and a lot of them have different songs. So and I don't know if I have them all. I probably don't, but I've got a bunch. So back in the early 90s, I actually saw the band, what I call the Yanks version of the band. It was what I thought was going to be the last Flamin' Groovies concert I ever saw for years and years. It was Cyril and George and two guys, the drummer and second guitar player singer were from the Yanks, Paul Zahn and Jack Johnson or something. I'm not quite sure who they are for sure. Little place called New George's over in San Rafael. Small little club. It was the smallest paid audience I've ever gone to a club and seen a show. I swear to God, only 5 people paid at the door. I was one of them. There were 4 or 5 guests of the band, girlfriends, etc. 4 or 5 guests of the crew that worked there, and the crew that worked there, maybe 20 people in all in this club that holds a couple hundred easy. And they just came out and played their ass off. It was wham, bam, slam, thank you, ma'am. So we didn't hear from Flamin' Groovies much at all after all this. So that's in the 90s. And then I think 2013, 2014, I'm not sure exactly when, they got an offer to go to Australia and make some money. And they came back and they played a few shows. Well, first this is a Roy Loney concert program because I got all these posters that I got to hang them up someday, but I haven't done it yet. I thought I'd show them to you because most of them are 2016 poster. That's the one I think I got. Yeah, I got 2 of that poster. My friend that I went with left it in the car, I guess. Saturday, July 29th at the chapel again. Wednesday, July 10th. Don't remember the years on all of these, but they're from 2013 to now, basically. 2012, this was before they got back together, but they did a Roy Loney. Now, the Roy Loney and the Phantom Movers is another band. They're fucking awesome, but they're not the Flamin' Groovies, although they're pretty much the same deal. Then we got, this was a tour poster that the show I was at and bought the poster was not on the poster, but it was their European tour in 2013. 2015, this poster was for a show they did up here, and then they went down to LA and did another show down in Hollywood. But I think Cyril's got a lot to do with a lot of this art. And this one, and that's showing the new members. This is Chris Von Schneideren or something. I can never remember his name. The new bass player. I can't remember who's who. But this band is, I guess, the last I heard on Facebook, and I haven't seen them. I saw them in 2021. And then since then, they've played at places I didn't want to go out, that, whatever. So I haven't seen them since then. Although I do follow them on Facebook, and my understanding on Facebook is that they have another couple of new members, and maybe Chris isn't singing with them anymore. I don't know. I have to go see him again. So let's get back to the recorded output. I'm going to show you some bootlegs. This is the Gold Star recordings. Side 1, River Deep Mountain High, So Much in Love. Side 2, You and Your Bird Can Sing, She Don't Care About Time, Do I Love You. This is from 1981. I don't know if it ever got officially released, but they went down to record a record. This came out of it. Now I got a couple of French bootlegs here. This came out, Whizman Spivey did the liner notes. And this is the original lineup, or actually it's not the original lineup because I think they had some switches before they recorded anything. But this is the Roy Loney, Cyril Jordan, Tim Lynch, George Alexander, Danny Mim. Earliest live recordings of the Flamin' Groovies when they were just skinny kids who had never entered a recording studio. The actual date of the performance was January 10th, 1968. And then this one is a 1970 rehearsal in front of 6 or 7 friends by the Flamin' Groovies at the Matrix. The liner notes again by Whizman Spivey, 1984. So these are a couple of French bootlegs. And this is Home to Roost, which is a BRR03 bootleg with Can't Explain, Teenage Head, Little Queenie, Married Woman, Get a Shot of Rhythm and Blues, Tallahassee Lassie, You Tore Me Down, Him or Me, Jumpin' Jack Flash, Live in San Francisco, Blues from Philly. I think these are some of those singles again, but I'm not real sure. Couple of more. We got Live at the Whiskey A Go Go. This one came out. This is the Cyril Jordan, Chris Wilson, Mike Wilhelm, George Alexander, David Wright. So Danny and Tim were gone, and it was recorded in 79. And here's another 79. This is this is an outdoor concert that was broadcast on the radio. Not a tremendous one. So then let's get to the rest of my Flamin' Groovy records. Just got a few more. This is a compilation. Got all their good ones. And if you buy this on the compact disc, if you get one of the original ones, it has a program that you can play on your computer that I did a couple of times back when I first got it, and it's more looks like serial art, and they got the words to the songs as they're doing the song, so it's kind of fun. I think I'm going to do that again soon. I haven't done it for years. So then this is Grease. It's a 2 LP set with basically a collection of original releases on Skydog Records, 1973, 1981. Remastered in 2018. Includes Skydog's Flamin' Groovy story by label boss Mark Zermati. And on the back of it here, it shows some of the Skydog releases. I only have the Gold Star tape and the Jumpin' Jack Flash. These other two, I've got other variations of them because there's lots of variations. I mean, if you go to the store, you'll see a lot of this same material with different album covers. What can I say? Then in 2016, or was it 2015? 2015, the new band released their first product in years, a single, Crazy Macy and Let Me Rock, which 2015, and this has got Chris, Cyril, and George, and a young kid they got to play drums. What's his name? Victor Penalosa. And so they came out with this single, and then it took them a while to actually come out with the album. Both of the songs on the single are on the album. However, by the time the album came out, George and Victor had quit the band again because there wasn't any money, I guess. The story I heard is they weren't getting paid. I don't know. The Flamin' Groovies have never sold a lot of records. Their concerts, well, it's funny. Their first reunion concert that I went to in 2013 or 2014, whenever it was, at the Elbow Room, which is a small club upstairs in the Mission District of San Francisco. The first concert sold out in 24 hours, the first show they ever did, reunion show. I have since gone to shows that did not sell out. They were selling tickets at the door. They have a hardcore following, but I don't know. They don't pack the ballrooms. So then recently on Record Store Day 2023, Cleopatra Records put out Rockin' the Roundhouse, which is basically, I believe, in 1976. Uh, do they have the actual dates on anything? Ooh, look at this. We got a hype sticker in here. What does it say? 12-inch vinyl and purple 7-inch plus bonus poster. Well, that's what you got, all right. But I'm pretty sure it was the July 4th, 1976 concert at the Roundhouse in London, where the Flamin' Groovies were the headliners and the Ramones were their backup band. Famous concert. Shitty sound quality recording. What can I say? And with this record, not only did you get a poster, which is a big one. Maybe I can unfold it. I don't know. You also got this little single, which is basically the Courette's mix. Shake Some Action and Slow Death. Pretty good. Shake Some Action is a song that got recorded 2 or 3 times, and one of the releases is the wrong speed, and one of it, it's just stuff. Anyhow, I'm sure this is way too long a video. Jack, the Vinyl Martini, I hope you get your 600 subs, and I hope anybody else that was watching this enjoyed it. If not, fuck it. Talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.